Hello, 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 hello. I don't like the way. Let me move this here thing out of the way here so y'all can see me. Hi, good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Good evening. I hope everybody had a good day today. I actually was able to catch up on some rest today. Glory be to God. So I'm excited about that. Rest is hard to come by these days, but I won't complain. I will not complain at all. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to see all of you that are coming on today to chat for our weekly tea and testimony. This week, we're talking about soul ties. What are soul ties? And how to break soul ties. So, if you follow my podcast, the podcast for this week is starting off, kicking off, talking about soul ties. And so it's a pretty meaty episode, but I hope you guys enjoy it. And so if you go to Apple iTunes or Google Play, Spotify, any of those streaming platforms, then you will be able to listen to the full episode. But for tonight, we're going to just kind of talk about a few key points that I wanted to discuss with all of you. And when you have an opportunity, then you can go and listen to the full episode. So, breaking soul ties. What are soul ties? So, soul ties are where two souls are knitted together. Two souls come together in the soulish realm. And so, some people are familiar with the term soul ties. And for some people, it may be a new term. It may be a new term that you are unfamiliar with. So, soul ties is where two people, whether it be two people or another, you and another person, you and another organization, or something to that standard, where you are bonded together in a relationship and you are tied in the soulish realm. And so, if you listen to the podcast or if you've listened to any of these weekly episodes where I've made mention of the soulish realm, where the soulish realm, your mind, your will, and your emotions lie in the soulish realm. And so that is where you come together and you bond with a person, a thing, or an organization. So if you get a chance to listen, you'll see that soul ties actually go beyond just relationship. They go beyond just sexual, spiritual connection. That it's more than that. There's a list of things that I go through to explain other ways that you can become bonded and you can be connected to a thing or a person in a soul tie. So, for those of you who may miss the live and catch the replay, when you get an opportunity, the full episode is recorded on Apple iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and any of those digital media streaming platforms of your choice that you listen to. Or you could go directly to my website, which is at theflawedandfree.com. And theflawedandfree.com, you can connect and link up there. And you can also stream right from the site if you don't have Google Play or anything like that. So moving on, we're talking about soul ties. And so the most common soul tie is the physical, spiritual soul tie that we know that we create through sexual relations, through sexual relationship. So there are three ways that you can create a soul tie. And so one way that you can create a soul tie is physically, via spiritually, and then there is emotional soul ties. And so next week's episode, we will be talking about more specifically emotional soul ties. So stay tuned for emotional soul ties and more to come with that. But this week, I wanted to kind of focus on physical, spiritual, sexual soul ties, which is the most common, right? Which is the most common that we talk about. And so I just discussed the three ways that you can create soul ties. And then outside of the three ways, there are different types of soul ties. So there are godly soul ties, and then there are ungodly soul ties. So today we're going to focus more on negative because godly soul ties is pretty simple, right? So the way that I broke it down in the episode of the podcast is godly soul ties are divinely connected ties, whether it be through pastoral, spiritual leadership, through parenthood. You have a godly soul tie with your children. You also have, hi Annette, how are you? You also have soul ties through your spouse, or through family. So you can have godly spiritual soul ties. So that's pretty easy. Ungodly negative soul ties can be found through a number of connections, through a number of different ways. And so ungodly soul ties are negative things, negative connections in the soulish realm that connect you, and they either bring destruction to your life or they bring blessings to your life. So a godly soul tie will bring a blessing, right? A godly soul tie will expand and complement and cultivate and help you in your spirituality, in your walk, whatever it is that God has called you to. A godly soul tie should be adding to your field. It should be something that should complement who you are and your purpose in life. But ungodly soul ties are negative soul ties, and they're not just physical. Hey, Vicky, how are you? How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm glad you joined. Good to see you. So negative, ungodly soul ties come in through a number of different ways. And so the podcast goes through at least 7 to 8 different ways, whether it be through occultic practices, whether it be through family, generational, ancestral linkages through your past, whether it be through secret vows or oaths or other organizations. And so where you're making a tie, right? We're tying yourself to a community or to a person or to a thing. And so I break it down pretty well in depth outside of the spiritual physical ties that we all are kind of commonly know. Sorry about that, you guys. Kind of the line, somebody was calling me. I meant to put my phone on do not disturb. But we are talking about just soul ties, just different ways that you can connect and be connected to a soul tie. So the most common one, of course, is the physical sexual one. So anytime you enter into a physical relationship, God has ordained marriage and God has ordained sex in marriage to be a main ingredient of marriage, right? And it's a way that you can come together in union and join. And this sex was truly intended for a marriage, right? Sex was intended for a marriage. But when we exercise or enter into a relationship outside of marriage with someone in sex, then we are swapping spirits, right? And remember, we would be like, if you kiss somebody, be like, oh, you swapping spit. Technically, a soul tie outside of marriage that you have joined with someone that you were not ordained to be your husband is a spiritual connection. Now, it is not a divine one because it is coming in out of order. It is not ordained by God. And so therefore, you are receiving that in which comes with that person. If God has not divinely connected you to this person, then you are connecting your spirits with their spirits. And so demonic spirits have personalities. And so people may be unaware that they actually have personalities. So if you notice, whenever you get in a relationship with a person and it's in sin, okay, it's outside of marriage, and you may have never had issues with anger. Let's say anger was not an issue for you, right? Let's say maybe you were never an insecure person or had any struggles in this area. You'll come to find out that when you enter into a relationship that is not ordained by God, that those spirits have been given full access and reign. There's a demonic door and a portal that is open through your relationship outside of God's will. And when you're operating anytime outside of God's will, then you're definitely opening up demonic doorways, demonic portals, and other access entryways into your spirit. And so you are connecting your soulish spiritual realm, right? You're putting those two things together. So you're wondering why, I never had an issue with this. And all of a sudden, so those demonic personalities that you have now opened up the door to in this relationship, in this spiritual swapping of spirits, right? You have now opened up yourself to personality, demonic characteristics that does not belong to you, that was not ordained or rooted in Christ, that was not given to you by the Lord. And so you have tied and yoked yourself with something that God did not intend for your life. And so many of us that have either operated in fornication, sex outside of marriage, we have yoked ourselves, right, with many different spirits, different people, and different demonic spirits. And all of them have personalities, characteristics, things like that. And so now it's become a part of your nature. It's become a part of because now you have connected and yoked and tied yourself to that person and that thing and that spirit in which they're dealing with. Now, it could be something generational. It could be something that they've actually individually opened up through their own sinful acts and or experiences. But either way, you have opened up a demonic door and portal to a thing that God didn't truly intend for your life, or to a personality or a characteristic that God didn't truly intend for you. And so life becomes a little bit more of a battle, a little bit more of a struggle, because you're now adding something on that you really weren't supposed to have. It was not what God had ordained for your life. Another way that you can get or create a soul tie is through bad company. Bad company corrupts good morals, right? Bad company. So 1 Corinthians 15:33 tells us bad company corrupts good morals. So anybody that you associate with and or assimilate with. So you can associate or be a part of association, but association begats assimilation. So association and assimilation, the more you spend, the more time you spend, the more energy you invest, the more conversation you have, then you are bonding yourself. You are bonding yourself spiritually. You're bonding yourself with the thing that you are connected to. So it could be a friendship. It could be a relationship. It can be an organization. It can be anything that you tied and yoked yourself to with your time, with your energy, with anything that you've done to invest in. And so as you are sharing space with a person, with a thing or a situation and or organization, you are investing all of your mind, your will, your ideologies, your cultural values, your beliefs, all of these things. Hi, Will, how are you? You're connecting all of these things and you are assimilating. So when you put association with a thing, with a person, or in an organization or in a group of people, you must know that you cannot be or remain separate but for so long, right? Because over the course of time, the more you spend, the more air you breathe in this person's space, the more you tie yourself in conversation, the more you connect yourself in their ideals and their thought processes and those things that they perceive as important or not important, or those personality characteristics that they carry and possess. Because of your connection with them, you over the course of time will begin to assimilate. So that is how your associations can beget assimilation in a situation. And so you can create a soul tie, and it can be rather a godly soul tie or it can be an ungodly soul tie. So you have to really discern who you connect with. You have to discern who you associate with. You have to discern who you're operating in certain realms, in certain circles. That's whether it be business, whether it be personal, whether it be your family, whatever the situation is, because everything that you connect and or associate with over the course of time will eventually, you will assimilate in that thing. And so as God over time has continued to move and has continued to move me in different areas of my life, I've had to discern and filter through my connections in my life, whether they be familial, whether they be through my business contacts and friendships and those sort of things. So you must go through all of your contacts, everything that you're associated and connected to, because everything that they are dealing with, every personality characteristic and trait that they are concerned with, everything that's going on in their life, automatically, it's just spiritual law, right? It just automatically becomes a part of you. So if you think that you're gonna enter into and have casual sex and or sex with no strings attached, it doesn't exist. So take that out your head, pull it all out, put it someplace else. Sex with no strings attached don't exist. It's a myth. You will pick up in the spirit every personality, characteristic, and trait, every situation and circumstance, whether they have an issue with it personally or whether it's a part of their bloodline, whatever it is that they're connected to. You are now, when you swap and spit, swapping spirits. And that is not what you want in this life. You really want to be connected to the divine things. You really want to be connected to the God ordained things, the things that complement and contribute toward your life. So you don't want anything that's going to detract or distract, delay or cause any destruction in your life, because that's what the enemy is coming to do. The enemy is coming to steal, kill, and destroy. Steal, kill, and destroy. That's the mission. Okay. If anybody's ever played video games, I've never been a gamer, but there's a mission. There's a goal in warfare. There's a goal when you're playing a video game. If you're playing one of those, tactical sort of battlefield sort of games, the whole goal and mission is to steal, kill, and destroy. So any negative, ungodly soul tie, that is the mission. That is what they're meant to do. Let's see. And Netta says, this makes so much sense. This is why we may feel oppressed sometimes when we leave someone's presence or leave a conversation with them. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you can tie and yoke yourself to anything that they're dealing with. If you talk to a girlfriend on the phone and every time you talk to her, this is your best of friends, right? And every time you talk to her, she's got anxiety. Every time she's struggling with insecurities. Over the course of time, the more space you share, the more air you breathe, the more time you invest with this person, over time, you develop a bond. Okay, you develop a bond. And so whether it's emotional bond or whether it's physical or spiritual, there is a bond that is joined with a person. And so whether you want to believe it or not, whether you think it's possible or not, it absolutely is. And it absolutely does happen in every single situation, relationship, and circumstance. And so you really want to identify, what are you connected to? What are you associated to? What is supposed to be there? Who are you supposed to let go? Who are you supposed to maybe hold on to? And as you disconnect from those ungodly connections, as you disconnect, God will then be able to divinely place the people that he's called in your life to contribute and complement your God ordained purpose. And you're not connected to things that you shouldn't be connected, that are bringing you down, that are bringing you, that are bringing you pain and oppression and depression, anxiety and fear and worry, and all of these things, all because you're associated with a thing, a person, or an organization, and you've yoked and tied yourself to a thing or a person that really wasn't intended and purpose for your life. So bad company corrupts good morals. So I wanted everybody to be just aware of their associations, their assimilations, and how your associations can contribute to assimilating to a thing, to an environment, to a culture, to an idea, to a belief. And you can tie yourself to an ungodly soul tie just by being connected and being assimilated with a thing or a person. So I looked up the definitions for association and assimilation. So association says to connect with someone or something with something else in mind, right? With something else in one's mind. But assimilation says to take in an idea, a culture, or information and understand fully. So to assimilate means you've taken in. So however you've taken it in, whether you taken, hi Lena, hi Sister Lena, how you doing? Whether you've taken in this connection through listening, whether it's through someone you're watching on YouTube, whether it's a sermon, or whether it's someone that's maybe in a negative soul tie situation, something that you are taking in. If you are taking something in fully, if you're investing your time and energy in a friendship, in a organization, into your church, into your spiritual leadership, and whatever it is that you are yoking and tying your life to, that is the thing in which you will receive the fruit of. That is what you will receive, because there is a root that's planted in your life when you connect yourself spiritually to a thing, a person, an organization, whether it be godly or ungodly. You must discern godly versus ungodly. And then once you discern, okay, if this is a godly tie, then this will bring a blessing to my life, because this is what God has ordained for me to bring more fruit in my life. Or if I've tied myself to an ungodly, negative soul tie, then this is something that's going to bring destruction to my life. This is something that's going to bring delay, despair, hopelessness, oppression, because ungodly, negative soul ties are demonic in nature. They're demonic in nature. So there are personalities that are connected to demonic spirits, and demonic spirits' only goal is to steal, kill, and destroy. Steal, kill, and destroy. So yes, it's very important to go through your friendship list, to go through your Facebook list, or go through your IG list, or go through your business connections, to go through your family, even your own family that you love to death. You can incur and create a soul tie through your family. And then you're also tied just by blood through your ancestral links, through your generational links. There's a generational bond and an ancestral link that's in your bloodline that you were actually born into. And so there are certain personality characteristics and traits that you may have felt a desire for from birth, right? From birth, or your entire life, or as long as you can remember. And so as you move towards purpose, and as you are aligning your will with the will of the Father, then you can then take these connections and these things and go to God and pray in the Holy Spirit and say, God, should I remain connected in this way? Should I disconnect over here in this way? What are you trying to do? Because he can't give you or send you a divine partner or a divinely connected blessing, whether it be through a business connect, whether it be through a personal connect, whether it be through a natural or spiritual connect. He can't send those things when there are people holding those positions, when there are organizations that you are tied to that are maybe not of God. There are legalistic, ritualistic, occult, cult-like religious organizations people have tied themselves to, people have yoked themselves to. And so therefore, now the enemy now has a demonic open door. Those spirits are now having an open access and portal to your life. And so then you will begin to see the fruit of those demonic spirits that you have connected and tied yourself to just by investing your heart, your time, your energy, your ears, and all that you've given it. And so you have invested and swapped spirits. So swapping spirits is not just sexual. Swapping spirits is not just laying down and swapping spirits. right? It's more than just from a sexual nature. There are other things that are ungodly, that are negative ties that you must discern by praying and meditating on the word of God and taking it before to the Holy Spirit to discern who do you connect to, who do you disconnect to. As I have as the Lord has partnered and I have partnered with him to strengthen my walk, I've had to make some hard decisions. I've had to make some hard decisions with family ties. I've had to make some hard decisions with friendships. I've had to make some hard decisions with people that I followed on social media that, when I was ignorant and unaware, because I've had to really be very careful about the things that I am connected to, because I understand now more than I ever have that my connections and my ties in my life, whether they be godly or ungodly, that I will bear and reap the fruit of those ties. And that demonic ties, negative, ungodly ties, are only built and sent to me to destroy, distract, and destruct. That is it, and that is all. There is no in between. So you can't kind of straddle the fence with the friendship. You can't straddle the fence with that church and that organization that God may have called you to leave, or maybe something that he's sent you to actually lead, but you're trying to take people with you like Abraham did Lot. You really, these relationships, right? You have to discern. Look at Naomi and Ruth. Naomi and Ruth, that was a godly soul tie. That was a godly soul tie. So there was a blessing that was attached. Ruth was able to glean into a field. She found Boaz. I mean, a lot of things happened that led up to that. But Naomi and Ruth's relationship was a godly connected tie. And so Ruth was able to discern when Naomi was trying to disconnect that, no, this is a tie. This is a godly tie that I need to remain connected to. So today, I just wanted to really come on and chat with you guys about this week's podcast. And it goes further in depth. I go further in depth on the podcast about what negative, ungodly soul ties look like, what godly soul ties look like, and a breakdown of where you can go to see and identify, like, is this something that affects me? Is this something, am I connected and tied somewhere to someone that maybe I shouldn't be? And then I walk you through a soul tie breaking prayer. It's a soul tie breaking prayer because, okay, once you identify that you're connected, once you identify that there is a soul tie in your life, okay, now what do? Right? And you go to God and you pray in prayer, and you pray and you ask the Lord to reveal the hidden things, reveal the ties and connections, expose those things that you may be unaware of. And then once he exposes and makes you aware of these ties and connections that don't belong, that are bringing you destruction, then you can then pray for God to release and to remove you from this connected tie, from this relationship. And so in the podcast, towards the end, I do a soul tie breaking prayer. So identify these things. Go through your friends list. There's an old saying that says, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. Show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. So without me even having any conversation with you, I can watch you and follow you online and see who do you follow, who's in your circle, who are you connected to, who do you talk to, who do you allow in your intimate space, who are you sharing your time and energy with? Because that should tell you. You should pay close attention, as I have had to do for myself. So I'm not telling you anything that I didn't have to figure out on my own as well, that I didn't have to partner with the Holy Spirit to filter through my friendship list, my family list, my, business list, my connections, and all of these things that say, okay, God, who are these people? Where are they going? Where is their heart? Where is their heart, right? Where is their heart for you, God? Or, where is their, because out of a person's heart comes their intent, comes their motive, right? And if you see a person that's constantly working and striving towards selfish desires and selfish things or whatever, I'm not a selfish person. I don't want to yoke myself to selfish people or people that aren't givers or people that don't love unconditionally or people that don't, so why would I allow myself to continue in relationship? Because then I'm yoking and tying myself with their personality characteristics and traits. And so these are not things that I want in my life. There are certain things that I desire that I don't have. And so the things that I don't have that I desire, I take it to the Lord and say, Lord, divinely send me help, send me a friendship, send me a partnership, send me something that will be of godly nature and characteristic that is in the likeness of you. And so I can partner with that thing and I can actually open up the doors to blessings and I can open up the doors to the godly characteristic and ties that God has called us to enter into. So I thank you, all of you that have come on and listened. And for those that are watching the replay today, don't forget to go check out the full episode on the podcast. And if you follow me on YouTube, make sure you click the bell, subscribe, and share. And I am so blessed and honored to serve all of you. Until next week, y'all have a good one.